Welcome to the third of this series of 4 Discovery Orchestra chats on Tchaikovsky's Romeo and Juliet Overture Fantasy. I'm George Mariner Moll, Artistic Director of the Discovery Orchestra. We've now explored the introduction, the exposition, and the development sections of this composition written in sonata form. Now it's time to recapitulate, that is, to restate the musical ideas in the exposition section, as well as to look into the coda, or extra ending, that Tchaikovsky composed to conclude his overture fantasy. So let's go right to number 27 in the listening guide, the beginning of the recapitulation, which sounds like number 11, the beginning of the exposition. We will listen to the first theme. What should follow, if Tchaikovsky followed the standard sonata form formula, is the second theme, exactly as it was in the exposition. Romeo was initially depicted musically in the second theme in the exposition, followed by Juliet's music. We'll start the music at number 27. Answer the question posed at number 28. And the Juliet music appears first in the recapitulation. We know what's going to be next, so after the crescendo or getting louder at number 29, make some physical gesture, maybe just raise your eyebrows when Romeo's part of the second theme returns in all its splendor at number 30. Do notice at number 30, Juliet remains present in the rhythm of the French horns. Dee-da, dee-da. The music will begin at number 28. So satisfying. At number 31, we have a pair of ascending sequences. A sequence happens in music when a pattern is repeated at either a higher or lower pitch level. Here, first, is repetition. Now, here's an ascending sequence. And finally, a descending sequence. Listen to the orchestra at number 31 as you follow on screen. My apologies for leaving you hanging there. This passage is a perfect example of building emotional tension with wordless musical sounds and then releasing that tension, which we haven't done yet. We'll start the music at the same place and allow the tension to build in the pair of ascending sequences. Then, the music continues into the emotional release created by Romeo's part of the second theme being played again. The Russian composer Sergei Rachmaninoff often spoke of what he called the point, that moment of greatest emotional intensity that occurs in a movement of music. In this overture, for me, it's when we arrive at number 32. Here's the music from number 31 to number 32. Goosebumps. Tchaikovsky, like other composers of sonata form movements, does not want to just jump from here to the ending, so he creates a closing section, just as he did in the exposition, to get us now to the coda. Listen to number 33 and fill in the blanks. The theme that has been painfully altered is the Romeo part of the second theme. And this whole idea happens how many times? 2 times. At number 34, we see that the French horns take up the musical idea from number 33 and that Romeo and Juliet have one final embrace before family hatred intervenes and abruptly ends their happiness. Think like a composer. If you wrote this overture, which theme would you use at number 36 to dash the ill-fated couple's happiness? Did I hear you say, first theme? Yes, exactly. Listen to number 33 through number 36. At number 37, the Friar Lawrence theme, remember that one? May be detected how many times? Here's the music. And we found 2 occurrences. Things only get worse. Listen from number 37 to number 39. not a happy ending. Look at the coda now at number 40. We see that the contrabasses, tuba, and timpani sustain a B natural pedal point. The term pedal point is derived from organ music, in which the organist sustains one pitch on the pedal keyboard with their foot while they play other music with their hands. Often this music clashes a bit with the pedal point until the organist finally plays a chord that fits with the pedal point. So pretend that I'm playing the organ. My left hand will be playing the pedal point, that one solitary pitch, and my right hand will be playing the music that Tchaikovsky wrote to be played at the same time. Would you be so kind as to raise your eyebrows when I finally reach a chord that fits with the pedal point? This passage, in which the Romeo portion of the second theme has been altered to sound like this convoluted version, occurs blank times at number 40. Count how many. Two times. And perhaps wanting us to believe that Romeo and Juliet have finally been united in the afterlife, Tchaikovsky gives us this moving chorale or hymn at number 41. And at number 42, he gives us an optimistic take on again, the Romeo part of the second theme. Now, to make a fitting conclusion to this third Discovery Orchestra chat on the Romeo and Juliet Overture Fantasy by Tchaikovsky, let's listen from the coda at number 40 to number 43. You're listening to, of course, Marin Alsop conducting the Colorado Symphony Orchestra, courtesy of Naxos of America, Incorporated. Please join us for the fourth and final Discovery Orchestra chat in this series, in which we will have a guided listen to the entire work with our graphics on screen. See you then.